Las actividades que estaban en la fiesta mayormente eran el tour mecánico, algunos bailes, danzas culturales, comidas, mayormente eso.
Many of the activities that were there were probably just like participating into that one Columbus soccer club, and so you got to like play around with the soccer ball and see if you could get prizes with the most juggling.
I didn't really participate in the activities, but I did go to see what was there because every year it gets bigger and bigger, the Fiesta Latina. Lots of food trucks, lots of food booths. I wasn't gonna stand in line for the food because there were really long lines and it was hot. But I did see face painting. They had games for children and high school kids, and dancing.
Sí, había muchas personas de diferentes culturas. Habían muchas personas de México, de República Dominicana, de Puerto Rico, de Honduras. Vi conocí dos personas de Perú y pues mi hermana, un amigo y yo que somos de El Salvador.
There were other people from other cultures there. I saw there was a lot of Asian, Indonesian, Caucasian, and many more.
Aprendí a bailar el baile dominicano, que es un baile muy movido, parecido a la bachata. Igual que estaba aprendiendo a tocar piano con un mariachi que estaba ahí. Pues probé la comida típica de Puerto Rico, es el arroz con gandules y pues pensaba que no me iba a gustar, pero sí estuvo muy bueno.
I think the most unique thing that stood out for the festival was probably there were actually different types. There were actually more food trucks there than last year, and a lot more people went.
For me, what stood out most is how much bigger it gets every year, and the participation of the community gets bigger every year. I think this was the fifth or sixth year, I wasn't sure. And so in every year I ask students to participate by going, and then they can take 5 selfies, and I give them extra credit, but they have to take 5 selfies doing 5 different things, which is fun. And so there are always lots for them to do.
Mi parte favorita fue al final, cuando estaban los bailes, porque bailé con mis amigos y amigas, y pues pusieron música que estaba muy bonita.
My favorite part of the whole festival was probably dancing, and why? Because I danced with my friend, and I danced with other people who didn't know how to dance, so I taught them.
I think my favorite part was just seeing the community involvement and the community support of this event, and how big it's grown and how many people were there. I was there from like 6 to 7, and it was quite busy.
What's up, Bulldogs? My name's Trent Bodart.
And I'm Haley Andis.
And today we're going to be doing a pumpkin carving contest. And the loser gets the pumpkin guts thrown all over them at the end of the video. So let's hop into it. It's a square! It's hot.
That's it for today, Bulldogs. See you next time.
My name is David Garrett. I had to overcome was during my freshman year, towards the end of the second semester, was when I had been expelled for the rest of that year, and I had gotten arrested also at the same time. And I had gone to jail. I had spent there for a whole 24 hours, went to the court system, and was able to be released home, luckily, because my dad's retired at 59, and I've been placed on house arrest, and then for a week, and after that I had been put on probation for 3 months, and during those 3 months I had no access to any kind of outside world, and I had lost my phone, lost my Xbox. The only thing I was able to do was just watch TV like I used to. Helped my dad around the house. We'd finished putting down the floor for our house then. And then after all of that, the sophomore year comes around, and the school invites me back at the beginning of sophomore year, and they ask if I'd like to attend school again. And I say yes, of course, give me the second chance, the second opportunity. And they were surprised to hear it though, because they said most people say no once they want to come back. But me, I like to come back and finish my high school education here in North, the school that I like, it's a great school. And after I come back, I became more of a better person. I made better grades. Made a lot more friends. Basically, the event that happened to me freshman year, I think, was something that was needed, because after that, I was a lot more of a better person.
What's your name?
Xander.
What are you gonna dress up as for Halloween?
Star Platinum from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Why?
Because JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is top tier anime. If you don't watch it, you're probably not cool.
What's your name?
Nathan, why?
What are you gonna dress up as for Halloween?
Probably nothing.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
What's your name?
Brooklyn Thomas.
What are you gonna dress up as for Halloween?
Me and my friend are going as Richie and Eddie from It.
Why?
We just like the characters, and we recently saw the new movie.
Cool. Alright, thank you. What's your name?
Sarah.
What are you gonna dress up as for Halloween and why?
Probably the devil, because it's cool. And, yeah.
Okay. What's your name?
Hannah.
What are you gonna dress up as for Halloween?
Probably nothing.
Okay. What are you gonna dress up as for Halloween?
Probably Captain America,
Why?
because he's my favorite superhero.
What's your name?
I'm Shaylin.
What are you gonna dress up as for Halloween?
A doctor.
Why?
Just for fun. I like the, I don't know. I help people out all the time. It's like, might as well just do it.
Alright, thanks.
Yeah.
What's your name?
Shaylin.
What are you gonna dress up as for Halloween?
I think I'm gonna dress up as Nancy Wheeler from Stranger Things.
Why?
I feel like I really like Stranger Things, and she's kind of cool. So,
Alright, thanks.
you're welcome.
What's your name?
Alex Guinness.
What are you gonna dress up as for Halloween?
I don't know, probably Disco Girl.
Why?
I don't know, it's the thing right now. That's it.
Alright, thanks.
Yep.
I'm Mr. Marsh. I teach in the social studies department, mainly AP government. This year I'm teaching U.S. history as well.
Hi, well, I'm Sonia Wilson, and I run the large group resource here in 1314.
I grew up watching the cartoons, and it just became part of my life-wise. And I would say Disney is as much America as apple pie and baseball. So like, it really became part of my family's traditions, is to watch the movies and things. Hearing my grandparents talk about seeing the originals like Snow White and Pinocchio in the movie theaters, and those type of things is kind of really cool. So it just became part of who I am and what I grew up watching all the time. And then when my wife and I had our boys, exposed them to it. And then a couple years back, 5 years, fall break wise, we decided to make our first family trip down to Disney. I've never been before that trip, and since then it's definitely become a family pastime. It's where we like to go, it's a fun place. It's a vacation location that we can all find something that we all enjoy to do and see and run around, and it's a lot of fun.
Well, I think as a kid I enjoyed watching Disney films all the time, but didn't go until I was an adult. And I think the first year I went was 2004, and quickly after became a pass holder. So
we've been multiple times since this past summer. We spent a month in Florida, not at Disney, but we spent a month in Florida. We took our camper down and went multiple times while we were in that area. We are planning on going in spring break this year. And I am doing a me trip only in February to the Epcot Art Festival, which I'm super excited for. Just be able to go down by myself, do what I want to do, eat the food, run around, and just have a good time on what I want.
I would say we're in the 40s or 50s. The kids and I try to go, when we were annual pass holders, really consistently. We tried to go 4 or 5 times a year.
Traditional characters are the original ones. I'm a huge Chip and Dale fan, and it's basically because my older brother loved Donald Duck, and Chip and Dale gave Donald Duck a really hard time, and I gave my older brother a really hard time, so it's definitely there. All-time favorite movie is Robin Hood. Love the film. I always remember watching it with my grandfather. Modern film, I'm a huge fan of Emperor's New Groove. That movie is so underrated, and it's just so funny.
So as a kid growing up, Sleeping Beauty was one of my favorite stories. So Maleficent always appealed to me. And then as a teen, Ariel became my favorite character. But as an adult, we have so many different new films with like Tangled and Flynn Rider's really funny, and Cusco is absolutely hilarious. So.
As the years have passed, so has the Halloween tradition. Halloween was not always about the candy and costumes. There was a bigger meaning behind the spooky holiday. Halloween became popular in the U.S. in the 1930s. It was brought to the U.S. by the Scottish and Irish. Before the tradition became known as Halloween, it was known as Samhain. It originated with the Celtic festivals. A tradition they did was light bonfires and wear masks to ward off the ghosts. Samhain was the beginning of a dark and cold winter that people often associated with death. On this day, the Celts believed that the ghosts of the dead returned to Earth. Halloween was more common in Maryland and in the southern colonies when it came to the U.S. America took European traditions and started dressing up and going house to house, asking for either money or food. Now Halloween is a day full of activities such as trick-or-treating, carving pumpkins, festive gatherings, and more in the U.S. In other parts of the world, people celebrate Halloween with parades, parties, and gatherings. Not every country celebrates Halloween, but a lot of countries celebrate something similar to it. For example, Mexico celebrates El Día de los Muertos, and the people of Hong Kong celebrate with the Hungry Ghost Festival.
B&N sat down with choir director Mr. Johnson to learn more about the secrets of Mikey in the auditorium.
Well, there's a legend. I don't know how much I believe of the legend. It used to be at the turn of the 20th century, the 1900s, like up until 1927 or so, that Columbus ended at Donner Park. There was nothing north of it. And where Fair Oaks Mall was the fairgrounds. But there was nothing really out in this part of town. And it was all country roads and everything else. And the rumor, the legend, I guess, is that a young boy named Michael or Mikey was killed by a horse and buggy or a horse and wagon on the dirt road, which would eventually turn into Home Avenue. Now, whether or not that's the case, we'll need to get a different team of people on it. but that's the story of where Mikey comes from. The other piece of the legend is that supposedly in the construction of the auditorium, a construction worker fell off of the catwalk above my head and died. I was a student here while the auditorium was being built. I certainly probably would remember if that were the case. It's just, I think that's one of those pieces that gets tacked on to make the story even cooler. Some of the kids will blame things that happen on Mikey, which is the name of the ghost here in the auditorium. I can't point to anything specific that Mikey has done, but whenever anything goes missing or something happens out of the ordinary, we always blame Mikey. I personally haven't had any ghost experiences here. I've worked here several times late at night when I'm the only one here, and I've always felt something watching me. For lack of a better term, is the only thing I can describe it. But when the auditorium first opened that year of 1985, they were doing a musical called Maine. And it was rehearsals, and the auditorium hadn't officially opened yet. And there's this very famous piece that the trumpet player plays. And the auditorium director before me, Joe Tower, was walking across the stage after locking everything up, because this used to be a parking lot to the south of the auditorium where my office is currently. And he was walking across the stage, and he heard that trumpet play. And he thought that the kid that plays the trumpet in the show was somewhere in the auditorium and was trying to trick him. And so he's like, "Where are you? What did you do? Where are you?" And the trumpet stopped, and every single light in the theater turned on. All the stage lights, all the house lights, everything turned on. It got super bright. He stopped, took a second, started to move towards the light booth to make sure everything turns off, and then everything went out. And he just left and walked away for the night.
This is Bryce Silcox reporting for BNN.
Did we scare you?
So today we're going to be making pull-apart cupcakes.
More specifically, Jack the Skeleton. So, we got our hands clean, our hair pulled back, and we're ready to run with the show.
So how you're gonna arrange them is in 5 different rows. So the first row will have 3 cupcakes, 4 cupcakes, 5 cupcakes, 4 cupcakes again, and then 3 for the last row.
Now that we have the cupcakes arranged, we're now going to be applying the icing to the tops of them.
You're going to need a piping bag or a plastic baggie, and we're using a plastic baggie today. So you're going to want to cut the tip. Of course, use adult supervision if you're a child. Once you're ready to apply the icing, you can put it down and start applying. And remember, you don't have to get all the spots filled in because we're going to smooth it over with a spatula later. Once you have the majority filled in, make sure you go back and fill in any remaining spots.
And now we're going to smooth out the icing just so we can get the shape of Jack's head.
Okay, once you have all your white frosting covered and smoothed out, you're going to want to use a toothpick to carve out the face of Jack the Skeleton. You may want to look up a picture of him just to be accurate.
After Julia just got finished making the outlines of Jack the Skeleton's face, we are going to take the black icing, cut the bag, and then start applying the black icing.
So now that we have outlined our little drawing with the black icing, we're now going to smooth it out a little bit with a small spatula.
Then you are left with a final product, a spooktacular and yummy creation of Jack the Skeleton.
Thank you guys for watching our Spooktober baking show with me and Julia.
We'll see you next time. Bye.